Alright, hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. We are back. We are in space over the Earth-like planet, getting ready to set up a comm relay so that we will be able to relay signals. Because basically, I guess I should talk about what my plans are here. Let's go downstairs and get ready while we're doing this. My plan basically is that we're going to build what's essentially Utopia Planitia style shipyard, although instead of orbit of Mars, it's going to be in orbit of the Earth-like planet. We're going to relay basically all the ore and everything, even though it's probably less efficient to do it this way. All the ore and everything is going to get processed down on the planet, and we're going to use shuttles to bring components up and actually do the construction of things in space, which means that we're going to also need to be able to order parts if I forget something or whatever, and it just seems like it makes sense to be able to remote control stuff down on the planet. Now, I already went ahead and adjusted the gravity field while we were up here, so that's kind of all set. Let's go ahead and head out here, and the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Now, if I place a block here, isn't it going to be just a block? How do I create a station nowadays? Like, I want it to start out as a station. You know, we might as well just build it right off the bow here, so we don't have to fly around the corner. Get a little distance here. There used to be just like a new station thingy. Well, it's an interesting question because this is just not going to be attached to anything. And there is a dog barking outside. It's pretty annoying. And I guess we'll go with a bright white or a less bright white. Why do I have so many colors, so many whites in there? It's weird. I mostly just copy colors, so. Alright, so isn't this just a block? Because I have no command or anything of it. What happens if I push on it? I guess it's a station because I'm not able to push it. I just might not be mighty enough as a wussy space engineer to do it too. Don't know. So we're gonna assume it's a station until we get something that actually has control on it. And it's really just gonna. That's interesting. It's really just gonna be a very basic thing with an antenna, some batteries, some solar panels. I'm not really sure how many solar panels it's going to need, so I brought enough to build quite a few. It's probably better to have more than we need. There's not going to be any interior or anything on it. There's really no point. I should probably put a docking connector on the outside of this ship. I wish I had a welding ship with me. Before we start building the actual space station, a welding ship is going to be a necessity. For some reason, it added a tilde in front of the number of blocks I have there. I don't really know why it decided to do that. Alright, so I think my key thing here is going to be figuring out my solar panels first. I really should have. Well, the sun moves. I guess it doesn't matter where I put the panels in relation to anything. How do I want to arrange them, though? That does matter. Let's build. It's going to be like a giant space cross right now, I guess. Panels are too wide, so I think we'll skip 2, and then we'll do 1, 2. I'm not going to show too much of this just because it's kind of tedious, but I did want to just show the process starting here. Since this is sort of momentous, it's our first thing that we've actually built in space since we crash landed. Since season 1, when I was actually just in space. That was before planets even existed. It's been a long flipping time, man. And how do I want to go about? I'm not really happy with that. I'm going to have to give this some serious thought here. You know, it's a lot worse than setting up solar panels without a welding ship. Batteries. My God, those things take a long time. So I'm going to get 2 batteries up and running here. One is done. I have 120 more of these to do. I can do 8 at a time with realistic inventory. So at least it's not a far trip. And in space, like, I can fly a little bit crazier than I can on the planet. And don't really run out of hydrogen quickly at all. It's actually oxygen and energy that are going more quickly. So that's nice at least. This thing's almost done. We're going to have to go scavenge radio communication components from the antenna on the reclaimer, and I'll just rebuild it when we land rather than making a special trip just for that. I kind of wish I had remembered to bring some, but it's okay. And those will take forever to transport as well, as far as I remember. Those things are fairly voluminous. Everybody always says they weigh a lot. They don't weigh a lot. They weigh nothing right now. It's the volume that's the issue. Alright, so I begged, borrowed, and stole. Got enough stealed. I begged, borrowed, and stole enough stuff to get everything online here. It's very basic. I'm hoping it will have enough power. I'm actually going to stay until the sun comes around and charges it. I'm just going to remain up here. I haven't renamed everything yet, but we got our antenna online. Let's go ahead and just boost up the antenna range to maximum. So how much power? 200 kilowatts. So that will go for 13 hours with the antenna running like that. 14 hours. And that's with barely any sun shining. So I'm assuming when it gets in full sun it will be a net gain. But I'm going to remain here until those get around into full sun again. It's very dramatic. Look at that. Like the J.J. Abrams lens flaring going on and stuff. It's pretty impressive. So I couldn't really come up with anything better than just that satellite design. I mean, it's just a relay satellite, so I don't know. But I think it will do nicely. That's a nice little shot there. I get our lens. Let's get up here so we get our little lens flare going here. Oh yeah, look at that. I actually don't know how to hide the... I know how to hide the cursor in the settings, so it's always hidden, but I don't know how to do it just for a screenshot. But that's good enough, whatever. And like I said, I'm going to remain up here for a while. I might actually work on the cladding while I'm doing this around the engines, because it's actually quite a bit easier in space, and I'm just going to be killing time to make sure this thing doesn't die on me. I thought about putting a camera on this so that it could be like a little spy satellite or whatever too. But the issue with that is then I have to put thrusters for it to be useful in any way. Because otherwise it's just going to be like, what would the view be like? Like off there. It'd probably be a blank space, maybe that asteroid. Not really worth doing. But I did put a remote control block up there just in case I need to adjust anything or check on its settings or whatever. It seems like a good idea. Seems like it's easier to do that than have to fly all the way up here just to check on something if it's not working correctly, and at least give us some amount of troubleshooting that's possible. So I am going to start working, I think, on the back side of the ship while I'm waiting for the sun to come around. Might as well. I have steel plates, and we'll see how that turns out. I gotta do some thinking on that. Alright, so the satellite is online. We have some parts that we need to get when we get back down there, because I forgot to get some stuff. I've done all the reconfiguring I can do here until I can actually tear those thrusters out. I think I'm going to put a little mess hall in the back here. Pretty much the same idea as the other ship has, just so that we have a nice little view out over the engines and space and stuff back here. More or less, I'm happy with the way that this came out. I'll probably put some catwalks down over that just to clear it up. It's a big slab right here I don't know what to do with, because that's the hangar wall, so it's like I can't really do too much with it, but basically I shortened the end of the ship down here just a little bit. It might be alright if I bring this back one and bring it down. I don't know, I'll think about that. But more or less I'm happy with the way that the ship is. I recentered, since we have farther back here, I centered up the reclaimer text, and I guess we'll just go back down to the planet and we can figure out where to put some more thrusters. And this ship is more or less complete. Like I said, I'll probably fit out a nicer mess hall and stuff, but more or less the ship is online and good to go. So I think we're going to secure it for flight again. And that thing over there, let's see, ComSat 1 is what I creatively named it. The batteries are recharging. It's only using 100 kilowatts and it's taking in full sun about 500, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think the 8 solar panels will be plenty to keep that thing fully operational. So let's back off here first. Not exactly the speediest back off, of course, because we only have that one thruster still. But that's fine. Get us some room to maneuver. And is it daytime down? No, it's nighttime, but it looks like the sun will be rising there soon, so maybe by the time we get down, it will be. I don't know. But we're just going to burn pretty much exactly straight down, I guess. And landing should not be an issue since we have those atmospheric thrusters. Everything should be perfectly functional and fine. When we get back down there, I'm going to repair the antenna on this thing. Or actually, maybe I'll just go right over to the Venture, and because its antenna's online, to see if we can contact that satellite from down there. I haven't put an antenna on the base yet because I'm still giving some thought to some sort of command tower, so I'll have to figure that out. Well, it'll be kind of fun to get back in the atmosphere, I suppose. Falling on the bun. Sounds like falling on a bun. I need to start saying that more. It's one of my goals in life. I've been rewatching Futurama. I could just watch Bender talk forever. Even in the crappier later seasons, Bender is still the best. Ship drifts slightly. It's peculiar. Don't really know what that's about. There isn't any loose cargo or anything on board, so I don't know. Did we just hit atmosphere? No, it might have saved. I don't know what just happened there. We're almost up to maximum speed, though. I do know that. Alright, so just a matter of cruising home now. I'm not sure at what altitude I want to hit the main thrusters, but we have tons of uranium on board, so I'm not super concerned about fuel. And this will give me a good idea of just exactly where the atmosphere actually kicks in. We're about, I'm going to leave that marker up. We're about 42K up, 42 kilometers, and I think it just, did it switch over yet? No, it still hasn't. Is it going to happen at 40? Oh, we got some gravity now. Yeah, I think it did switch over then. Yeah, because that's when it gave me. So it's like 41. It's hard to say because it varies, obviously. But let's get ourselves oriented with the horizon. Now, actually, before we do that, what are we coming down over? Just over the base? There are a lot of mountain ranges there, so that's going to be something to be aware of. Base is in a very mountainous region. I kind of want to go see some of those lakes and stuff. Maybe I'll build a scout, and we haven't really explored the planet. I was looking at the planet a little bit while we were up there, and it looks like there's some neat stuff. Like I've seen the savannas and stuff. The savannas are just over there, and there's some ice lakes, and it gets into the, I don't know if that's a desert over there or what, but all that stuff's not too ridiculously far away. It's probably like I've gone all the way to the pole, so it's probably about the same distance. Probably worth checking out at some point. Now we can actually use this as sort of an absolute, well, it's not really absolute, but relative to the base altimeter, the distance above the base that we actually are. I'm gonna, even though I don't think the ion thrusters do too much up here, I'm gonna hit them anyway, just so we kind of drift forward if we can. I don't really want to use hydrogen if I can avoid it. It's not a big deal. I just would like to come down relatively close to the base. It's good practice to start figuring out how to come down correctly for dealing with the other ship, because that one's going to be a lot more heavily laden with materials, and it also doesn't have any atmospheric thrusters, so it's a little more limited in its maneuvering once we get down. I feel like the thrusters did something. Well, we know they do something, because at point 10, I was able to take over with just the ion thrusters, so they were doing something, I'm sure. Yeah, we're drifting to the side for sure. They're still somewhat effective at this height. Back in range of those pirate bases. Stuff doesn't really seem to be spawning anymore. I'm gonna have to check out what's up with that. If one of the mods got broken or something and maybe there's a new version, I don't know. But we're gonna turn off ion thrusters. We're gonna fire up the main atmospheric thrusters so that those will be ready to go whenever they actually take over here. And we are at about 22,000. So I think when I hit about 10, we'll turn on the thrusters, even though I don't think they do. We'll turn on the dampeners, I mean, even though I don't think they do particularly much at that height. Just because I want to make sure that we can slow down quickly enough. The ship does have a decent amount of thrust, but it's still a little bit, I mean, it's not super heavy, but it's a new ship. We're learning. It's kind of relaxing right now. What's the view like from in here? Yeah, it's not too bad. You wouldn't even know that we're careening towards the planet from in here. About 5 more kilometers and we'll hit the inertial dampeners. I don't know what is making all that noise on this ship. There's like some sort of machinery running, but I can't figure out what it is because it doesn't have an assembler. It does have oxygen generators, but it doesn't have any ice on board, so those shouldn't be doing anything. It's got a very like crunchy, machiney noise going on right now. This will be a good test to see where the full thrust of these thrusters actually come in also. Alright, so we're coming up on 10K. And inertial dampeners engage. We aren't slowing down in the least yet, so we'll see where they actually kick in. Should get noisy when they do. I like the noise all the thrusters and stuff make. They are very neat. There we go. Starting to wind up. Starting to ever so slowly slow down. We're not falling at terminal velocity anymore. Come on, thrusters. I should put some parachutes on this thing. Okay, I'm really feeling like the thrusters should be doing something more at some point here. We came in at a pretty low spot, so there's ground beneath us to work with. I probably should have aimed for the ice field so there'd be even a little bit more, but I didn't. Come on, thrusters. There you go. That's terrifying. Just waiting for those things to turn on. Yeah, probably should aim. If we were going over the base, it would be close right now. Probably should aim for the ice fields when I return, because that was a little bit closer than I'd like to be, in all honesty. Whew. Alright, so let's just go park this thing, and I'll finish fitting out, repairing the stuff that I had to grind down, and fitting out the rest of the stuff on here. But we should be able to now deliver things to space reliably, easily. It only used about 70% of the hydrogen. It could have been a little bit less if I had burned a little more efficiently than I did. But 70% is not bad. That's only, I don't know how much ice it is, but it's not ridiculous considering the amounts of ice that I have available right now. And there's, you know, a decent mining ship available to deal with that. I have been thinking about building some sort of refueling station out there, just so I don't have to bring the ice back all the way. It wastes a lot of fuel in that other ship bringing ice back, so I've been thinking about doing something with that, but I don't know if it makes sense to process it out there, turn it into hydrogen, and then transfer it, because transferring hydrogen is actually kind of a pain. You have to do like stockpile on some tanks, and it's not like you can just tell it to dump everything. So, I don't know. Some thoughts will have to be, and we'll have to go into that. Oh, the base is starting to look pretty impressive, actually, with the docking bays that I'm putting in. This base never looked that big because most of it's underground, but it's definitely getting to be a little bit more impressive. I should really put a landing light on the bottom of this thing. Like a big spotlight so I could get a better range finding, but oh well. I think the sun is coming up. I just saw light appear on the side of the building, so that's about perfect. It never gets very dark. It used to get a lot darker. I don't understand. It seems like since the last update, it's not nearly as dark. Some of it, I think, is just because of the latitude that we're at. The sun never gets all the way down. Like, the sky kind of glows a lot. And since there's no seasons on this planet, we don't get a winter. It's always the same all the time. But, not sure. Alright, definitely don't want to start accelerating too quickly here. It's kind of the only thing that can screw me over at this point. It's in my hands. The ship broke quickly enough, so. And the scale of those little tiny ships down there kind of puts it into perspective. All those little auxiliary craft I have there. I need to get my ship printer up and running. I've been planning on doing that for a while. There's some blueprints. I'd like to actually replace both the salvage, the grinder ship, and the welding ship with a version based on my miner, because the miner actually performs slightly better. And it's not really that much bigger. It's a little bit longer, but it holds more cargo. And I just kind of like it better, so I'm thinking about retiring the original grinder ship, which has been around since the beginning of this series. But I don't feel like building the blueprint by hand, so I've been thinking about trying to slap together some sort of ship 3D printer builder thingy. Now the pistons, I tried that a long time ago on one of my own worlds, based kind of on something Last Stand Gamers did, but pistons work way better than they used to, so I kind of have a feeling it might be almost practical these days. Are we actually in the bumpers? No, we're still above. This is why parking that hydrogen-powered ship sucks so bad. It's like using so much fuel just idling, trying to thread the needle here. And do it gently enough that we don't break everything. But there's not really any... I thought about throwing a couple of atmospheric thrusters on that thing just to supplement it. It already has a couple in the front, but you know, they're just the small ones. They don't do that much. Ooh, that sounded bad. Did I break anything? I have no idea. We'll see when we get out, I guess. This is very loud. It clanged a little bit more than I expected. So, thrusters off. And I'm not going to actually lock off the dock, but the landing gear, but I am going to lock off the connector if I can here. And hopefully that will pull in some ice and refuel whatever needs to be refueled. It sounds like the oxygen generators are running. Man, frame rate got ridiculous being back here. The game's weird because, like, if I quit and reload, it'll probably be perfectly fine in terms of frame rate here. But not right now. So I don't really need to worry about pressurization now that we're on the planet. We'll just blow the door. I do still build everything airtight. The base is pretty much going to be airtight with vents everywhere and stuff because A, we're at a high enough altitude that the oxygen's low, and B, I think it's just kind of a good idea to do that. I don't know, it just feels like real buildings, while they're not airtight, they do have ventilation systems and stuff. It just makes it more, I don't know, realistic, I suppose. Now, did we damage anything down here? Looks like we did not, so all is well in the world. That was a good, successful trip. Let's go check on the Venture real quick, since it has a functional antenna. This ship's all torn to pieces right now because I've been retrofitting. But let's have a look-see. It's all confusing to even get around in here right now because I've actually moved some of the corridors and stuff around while I'm at it, tearing everything apart, putting in these enclosed thingies. There's not even a door over there. But we'll fire up the antenna and see if we can contact the base up there. Or not the base, the satellite. I just want to do it from the command seat because... So, antenna first of all. Oh yeah, it's not named antenna, it's named Venture. Yeah, there it is. So, let's boost this bad boy up, 50,000, and go to comms, and it doesn't have that in range. That's weird. Maybe it will now. Yep. So that is in range. Excellent. It's about exactly where I want it to be, about 49,000 meters, and I can probably remote control it, even though there's actually absolutely nothing to do with it. But we're technically in control of it. So, that's cool. And that's one step towards having our relay when we actually go build a space station. We'll be able to send commands back to Phoenix Base down here and get stuff built. So I am very happy with that. I'm happy that the Reclaimer made it to space pretty easily. It's actually pretty nice that it was just not quite enough thrust with the one thrust and the little ones that we had. So that fixed everything. I'm extremely pleased. Now I think I'm going to get back to doing the repairs that I was talking about on the ship and doing a couple little fiddly upgrades, including adding more thrusters so that it works correctly when it's in space. But I want to thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you next time.